Hello all, welcome to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, we are going to see how basically Azure Service Endpoint work. In my previous video, I have already explained what is Service Endpoint and what is Private Endpoint and what's the difference between both the endpoints. So in this video, we are just going to see how basically Service Endpoint work. So what are the tasks basically we are going to perform? We are going to create a virtual network and we are going to create a subnet. Then we will create a virtual machine as part of that subnet and we will create a two Azure storage account. Because in service endpoint what we discussed, it expose all the storage account if it's part of the same subnet. So that's what we are going to see in this particular video. So let me quickly move to my Azure portal. So I have already created a virtual machine. So if I'll go to my resource group, which is demo, and as part of this resource group, I have created two things. I have created a virtual machine, which is a part of the subnet or virtual network. So if you see here, virtual network, this is the demo VNet, and this is the subnet, which is default. So I have only created a virtual machine and the virtual network. Now what I'm going to do, the first thing what I will do, I will create a service endpoint as part of this virtual network. So for that what we have to do, we have to go to the subnet, and we have only one subnet here, which is name is default. And here what I will do, I will enable the service endpoint for Azure storage account. So if I come to service endpoint, here we can see we don't have any service endpoint. So let me quickly add Microsoft storage as a service endpoint and just let me share it. So it's completed. Now what we will do, I'll go to my storage account and I'll create a two storage account here. The storage account name I'll put uh, demo 1. It's already taken. This name should be unique. Demo storage 1. Okay, so this is available, and rest all the fields I'm not going to explain because that is already covered. I have covered about storage account in my previous videos. So I'll just simply go to networking. Here what I will do, I will enable a public access from selected virtual network. So I'll choose this option because in this particular virtual network we have enabled the service endpoint, so that we have to choose. And you can see we have only one subnet, so it automatically taken. Rest all the fields I will leave it default, and I'll just hit review and create. So it is going to take a couple of minutes. Meantime, what I will do, I will start my virtual machine, which is I have already created. So to test or to access the storage account from the virtual machine, I have downloaded and installed the Storage Explorer, which you can easily find out over Google. So you can see the deployment of a storage account is in progress and VM is also starting. Let me close it. So we can see the storage account deployment is completed and we got the storage account. Now let me quickly create another storage account as part of the same subnet. So it will be easily, we can understand, okay, we are going to access both the service account which is part of that subnet with the help of service endpoint. So I'll put again name here, demo storage 2. And in networking, I will select the virtual network. which is demo vnet, and the rest all the fields I will leave it default and simply hit review and create. Meantime deployment is running. Let me connect to my virtual machine. So I'll take the public IP address of this virtual machine. Okay, so I think the deployment of second storage account is also completed. Now what I will do, I'll put some files inside these storage accounts just for the simplicity purpose so we can easily identify. I'll go to data management. Okay, we have to look for the container here, data storage container. So I'll create a container called demo1 and I'll simply click on create. Similarly, for the second storage account, I will create a one more container. I'll put the name here demo2. So it's created. Let me go back to my virtual machine. So here what I will do, I will open the Azure Storage Explorer which I have already installed. It's simply a MSI file which you have to click on next and it will be done. So you can see uh, we don't have any storage account here. So let me quickly connect to the storage account, and I will use account name and key, access key I will use here. So let me quickly copy it. I'll go to demo storage 1. So this is the storage account name, and so here I will put display name and account name same, and I'll just quickly go to the access key. Access key we will get it from security and networking. So I'll just hit on so and I'll just copy the access key. So if I'll explore, okay, now you can see, we can see the demo1 container which we have created as part of this particular storage account. And let's try to connect a second storage account as well. And I'll take the access key and I'll click on next and connect. So if I'll open the blob container, we can see here the container demo2 which is we have created. So it means if we are using a service endpoint, then we can connect all the services which is part of that particular subnet. But in the private endpoint, the case is different because as we have to connect to the sub resource of that particular service. So if I'll just quickly re-verify, what I will do, I will just remove the service endpoint and we will see if still we are able to connect or not. So I'll go to subnet and here I will choose none and just save it. It is going to take couple of minutes. Okay, so it's completed. Let me go back to my virtual machine and I'll just refresh all the connections. Okay, so we can see here now we are getting authentication error. So that means the server we have removed the service endpoint, then we are not able to access the service the storage account. If I'll just quickly verify this second one as well. You can see here also we are getting the authentication error. It means if we are enabling a service endpoint for a particular service and that service is a part of a one particular subnet, then all the resources which is part of that particular subnet it will expose. So you can access all the resources. This is not a recommended way to use service endpoint. If you want to utilize all the services like blob, table, file and queue, then it is okay. You can use a service endpoint because you want to utilize all the services of that particular service type. If you want to use only one particular service, for example only a blob container you want access, rest all the service you don't want, then I would suggest you should use a private endpoint. I will create a separate video on private endpoint demo as well, how we can connect, how we can use private endpoint demo, sorry, private endpoint. So I hope it's clear how basically service endpoint work. So I think that's all for today. See you in next video. Thank you so much.